Can everyone see my screen? Is that all good?
Yes.
Yes, beautiful. Very good. Well, thanks everyone. I'm so honored and excited to be here today to be able to share a little bit about my science art journey. So thanks, Philip, for organizing this summit. I think it's so exciting to be able to gather all the different science artists and people who are interested in science and art together, and that we can learn from each other as well. So that's the thing I'm really excited about today is we've got all these scientists who've gone beyond the traditional science path and we've merged it with art. I believe that scientists are inherently creative. We are creative in problem solving, especially when experiments don't work. We have to get creative about troubleshooting and figuring out how to get it work again. But I believe we can also be creative artistically. And there is this magic that happens when we can merge both science and art together. Now, sometimes we get so used to seeing ourselves as scientists or our scientific selves that the idea of being artistic never really crossed our minds. But it's only when we explore creative expressions through other avenues that we discover that we are not really one-dimensional beings. We have these hidden gifts and strengths that are waiting to be unleashed. So to start off, I'll tell you a little bit about my science career. I started off with a very traditional academic career. So I'm originally from Malaysia, but I moved to New Zealand and I studied a Bachelor of Biomedical Science in Wellington. And then I did an honors in medical science in Australia, then worked in Singapore for a few months. Now I went back to Australia for my PhD, where I explored how genes are regulated in the immune system. Now, after my PhD, I did a postdoc and became a research fellow, but then I got tired of academic life and decided to move into government. And so now I'm a regulatory scientist evaluating complementary medicines. And so Philip has alluded that I am actually a science balloons expert, if you want to call it. So how did a scientist like me find her way into the world of balloon artistry? So in 2019, my church needed someone to twist balloons at a community event. Now, no one put their hands up, and so I thought I would give it a go. Now, I've never ever twisted balloons in my life before, but I thought, how hard can this be? So I went to the shops, bought a pack of balloons, jumped on YouTube as you do when you want to learn something new, and taught myself how to make a oh, balloon dog. There you go. Not my best one, but I found that so much fun. And then before I knew it, I was hooked. So I loved it so much that I decided to start a side hustle twisting balloons. Now, twisting balloons for fun is one thing, but starting a business while raising kids, that's a whole different ballgame. So I have three young kids. My firstborn is a son. And then my surprise package came, twin girls. So I laughed and cried when I saw two round heads on the ultrasound. Now, I was working as a research fellow when I was pregnant with my twin girls. When my maternity leave with my twins were over, I was told that my work hours will be cut because our research funding was reduced. Now, I have two more mouths to feed, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to need to get more money to feed these children. But I thought when I had so much fun with twisting balloons, I asked myself, why don't I do something with this? What if I started a business? Now, I've never started a business before. I didn't know what to do. I had no plans, no blueprint, just a bunch of balloons and an idea. But the one thing I did know was that I love bringing joy to people with balloons. And it makes me smile when I see a child or adult light up when they get their balloon. Now, this is the best job if you're a people pleaser. So, Giggly Wiggly Balloons was launched in March 2019. Now, going on this balloon journey has opened doors to many things. I was a contestant on Channel 7's Blow Up, which I would say it's like Lego Masters, but with balloons. And I ended up being one of the top 5 finalists. If you're in the US, I think you can catch it on Amazon Prime. And my balloon business was also recognized with awards. And I also gave a TED talk about my balloon journey. Now, as I delved further into the party entertainment industry, I discovered balloon storytelling shows. And I love the concept of using balloons to engage children in stories. And in the same year of starting my business, I also published my first children's book, What Makes You Unique, which introduces children to DNA. Now, while developing the balloon storytelling shows as part of my service, I thought, why not merge balloon storytelling with my science book to create a science show? So I tested my first show at my daughter's childcare and they loved it. And I had lots of fun doing it. And so I thought this was going to be a great opportunity to bring science to the community in a fun and creative way. Now, what do you need to do when you need money for your activities? I applied for grants. And this time, I applied for community grants instead of research grants. So I found one specifically for National Science Week. And this is Australia's annual nationwide celebration of science and technology. I did not get the grant at first go, but I improved it, with the feedback, and I managed to get it the next time round. And since my first grant in 2021, I've been successful in getting grants every single year to be able to bring my science shows to the community for free. Now, I started off with the Twisty Science Show, and this was based on my book, What Makes You Unique, and I've developed more shows ever since. So my next show was an evidence-based nutrition show called Foodie Fun Play. And this was developed in collaboration with a nutrition academic and also supported by Nutrition Australia. And as you can see here, we've got giant balloon fruits and vegetables that really capture the children's imagination. And the other thing is I added storytelling elements to it by introducing Bob the caterpillar. And children absolutely love the concept of feeding Bob as part of the show. So this show is actually now the basis for a research project to understand how incorporating play-based strategies can help reduce food neophobia. So, you can take the researcher out of the lab, but you can't take the researcher out of the person. So I'm still doing research right now. So from the humble beginnings of my daughter's childcare, I've since taken the science shows into schools, libraries, and even into big festivals like Floria, which is Australia's largest spring flower festival. And as a result of all this, I've actually started a business called Twistyfic. And the mission is to empower minds with science storytelling and balloon art to inspire curiosity and creativity in all our children. So, I've developed from a balloon artist and now into a science storyteller, or what I would call a balloon scientist. So, I did title my talk, Why One Job is No Longer Enough. And the reason why I said that is I think there is more scope for what we can do beyond being scientists. Now, I will preface by saying that a portfolio career is probably not for everyone. Some people might prefer to focus on one career or one job, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong here. But for some of us, I think we are multi-potentialites. That is someone who have many interests and creative pursuits, someone who excels and prefers to explore multiple fields simultaneously or sequentially. And if this is you, welcome to the club. Now, there are a few benefits that I found by having a portfolio career. Firstly is income diversification. Now, you've heard from my story that my work income was reduced because of cuts to grant funding. Now, having another job or another career can weather the changes that come with fluctuating funding cycles that can impact your income security. So even when circumstances change, you have this backup financial plan and it helps increase your financial resilience. The other thing I really loved about doing different things is that you fuel innovation through cross-pollination. So sometimes you get so caught up with how you do things in one industry that you're unable to think outside of the box. But when you work in different industries, you get that insight and skills and experience that you can use from one industry and apply it to another. So it's not just innovation, it's continuous personal and professional growth that helps you adapt in a changing job market. And finally, you get the freedom to be multidimensional. Now, we often believe success in science means climbing the academic ladder. Now, I realized that I had let academia define success for me. I've moved from experimental research to using balloons to teaching science. I thought it was a fluffy thing to do, but it's what I love doing. And so for me, that is what success means to me. Now, working with balloons, they make me less of a scientist. it actually expanded what being a scientist could look like. So are you holding back part of yourself because of what others might think? Remember, you get to define who you are and what success means to you. Now, if success for you means building a portfolio career, then I have a few tips for you. First, try something that you've always wanted to do. Step out of that comfort zone and just do that thing. If it's creating a piece of art or maybe doing improv, you may discover a hidden talent and passion that you can develop into a side career. Now, once you've found that new interest and talent, it's time to invest in yourself. So you need to get good so that you can get paid. So investing time and money into developing this new skill will help you reach that level of mastery that you need to become an expert. And finally, building your network to get opportunities. Opportunities rarely come from job ads. They come from conversations, from people you know. And this is why I love what Philip is doing with this Science Art Summit. We get to connect with like-minded people who love both science and art. So your network becomes the bridge to bridging your creative ideas to life. So my portfolio career currently, as it stands, include my role as a regulatory scientist, a balloon artist, a kids entertainer, a science storyteller, and an entrepreneur. Now, it did not all happen at once, but it was a gradual progression. Think of it like a mosaic where you can add, one piece at a time. Eventually, you will create a magnificent piece of art with steady, consistent, and persistent effort. Now, I'd just like to check, if you'd like to connect with me, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or follow my work on Instagram as well. And I'd like to thank all of you for spending this time with me and listening to what I have to share. Thank you so much. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing somehow. How do I stop sharing? So my brain is really not working. All right, fantastic. I've stopped sharing. Very good. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce our next speaker. And we have Mr. Schumacher.